the Indianapolis Colts, they're not the Titans. They're not the Jaguars. It is a road game. The Colts have a lot of talented players. They're 5-6. I think the Lions will take this game extremely seriously, and I think they'll win. But I also think they will be challenged in a way that some people might be surprised about. I think they're going to win this game, not to give my prediction away, by, I don't know, something like 10-14, because they've got some nice, I mean, the Colts have some nice players. They've got a really nice guard duo with Fries and Quentin Nelson. And Quentin Nelson is probably going to be wearing a gold jacket someday. I know he's fallen off since the beginning of his career, where he was a 3-time first-team All-Pro in his first 3 seasons. But he's still a Pro Bowler. He's having his best year in a while, and that's where it's going to be a big challenge for that defensive line. I think with that Colts offensive line, they're going to want to get Jonathan Taylor going, who's still a really good back. And that's where the Lions have to use one of the best run defenses in the country to limit him and maybe even do a Joe Mixon on him.
Yep, and now they're doing it with, I think I saw a stat, they've lost like half of their defensive starters since training camp. And they've still found a way to just hum along, but now they have to do that without Alex Anzalone. And when you're talking about a quarterback like AR, who's mobile, when you talk about Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, when you talk about how the offensive line can help to get these guys either protection or get them into the middle of the field, that's where these linebackers, particularly Jack Campbell, is going to have to step up and be that guy that Dan Campbell talked about in the beginning of the season, the green dot linebacker, the leader. He is the team lead in terms of tackles, but we all know what Alex Anzalone brought to the field in terms of a physicality standpoint, playing completely through the whistles, annoying the heck out of players on the opposing team, and just being that guy that every time you see him around, it's havoc. And that's what the linebackers, that's what I'm hoping that they do. A guy who reminds me a lot of that to a lesser degree, Malcolm Rodriguez. Just one of those havoc guys. He can get into the backfield and get you some QB hits. He can get you even interceptions. He can drop back into coverage and play that well. So it's like I want to see our linebackers really have a good game this week against the Indianapolis Colts.
And I think they will. I mean, they're going to be instrumental in stopping Jonathan Taylor. They're going to be instrumental in not letting Anthony Richardson beat you with his legs. Because honestly, I said that it was going to be a close game. If they don't let Anthony Richardson kill you with his legs at all, it could actually get ugly. Because
and AR hero ball. You got to watch out for that.
AR hero ball, because I will say this, and usually I don't like to do this, but I know what my eyes tell me. Anthony Richardson stinks. He can't play quarterback. He cannot play quarterback. I knew what he was coming out of college. Me and Chase have had conversations about it. He wasn't good in college. He couldn't complete passes in college. He could throw the deep ball, but he didn't know how to play quarterback. He didn't know how to make reads. He didn't know how to run an offense. He didn't know how to hit the easy passes. And he's been the exact same in the NFL. I get it. He had a really good game against the Jets, and the Jets, even though they're the Jets, they have a lot of good defensive players. But this Lions defense against Anthony Richardson, I think if they make him one-dimensional, it could get ugly. And that could actually lead to maybe the 20-plus point win.
And we've seen that precedence already this season. Multiple quarterbacks that can get loose, get mobile. You're talking about Geno Smith. You're talking about Kyler Murray. As well as some others who they might not be considered mobile quarterbacks, but they're not stationary pylons either, who can move the chains if necessary. And Aaron Glenn has had a solution and an answer for all of them, which has been the awesome thing this year, to see not just the growth of this defense, but how they're able to maintain with the mix of depth and what Aaron Glenn, Terrell Williams, Kelvin Shepard and co. have consistently done to get this team fired up and ready every single week. And that's where I'm like, you know what? I'm looking forward to what this team is going to bring, because you know what I realized most of these teams aren't ready for when they line up against the Lions? It's not necessarily just the strategy. It's not necessarily just the schemes. They are not ready for the level of physicality, level of man ball that the Detroit Lions are bringing to the field. And I think it absolutely frustrates people. That's why we hear them complaining literally on the field. It's a playoff game, Stafford. Go to your sideline and get your guys riled up. Why are you riling us up while we whipping your tail? But that's the thing. When you see grown men just crying about a situation, it's because they are completely disheveled and they don't know how to solve it. That's the thing. And so I am expecting the Detroit Lions defense to come in here, regardless of anything scheme-wise, regardless of anybody who needs to step up or not, continue to lead the charge as it relates to the physicality and playing completely to the whistle on the field.
And you know they will.
Oh,
because that's the one thing that you know you're going to get with the Lions no matter what, is you're going to have some bumps and bruises afterwards. And you're definitely going to, but for the most part, you're going to take L's no matter if the Lions play their A game or they play their C- game. They're going to beat you damn near every single time. If there's one sneaky matchup, I think...
You will find it, I know that.
Yes, where if I'm the Colts, I'm trying to exploit. I'm going to ask you guys a trivia question. Who leads the NFL in yards per catch this season? Does anybody know?
Can you give us like a AFC, NFC?
AFC.
AFC? Can you give us a division?
Just J-Mo.
AFC South.
AFC South.
AFC South.
Josh Downs?
Nah.
Can't be Josh Downs.
Yeah, that's not the
Calvin Ridley?
Want one more guess? Or you want me to tell you?
Hold on.
One more guess.
Tank Dell.
Do you want one more?
Michael Pittman, maybe.
It's Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce of the Indianapolis Colts. And it surprises you when you see it. But the reason that I bring that up, he actually has more yards per catch than J-Mo. Because if you would have asked me before I would have looked it up, I would have said Jamison Williams. But it's actually Alec Pierce. Jamison Williams is 22.4. Alec Pierce is 22.7. If I'm the Colts, because Anthony Richardson can throw a good deep ball. That's one thing that he does do well. He has one of the strongest arms we've ever seen from a human being. If I'm the Colts and I get Alec Pierce matched up on Terrion Arnold, I'm taking a shot. Because Terrion Arnold, he's the weak link of the secondary right now. He's a up-and-coming rookie, but he's still the weak link. And he also has a propensity to commit pass interferences. And even if sometimes they're a little ticky-tack, he's a rookie. He's going to get called for it. So if I'm the Colts, I think you're foolish if you don't take a deep shot. Just have Alec Pierce run a go route and just bomb it if you're Anthony Richardson and see what you can do.
And that's where I'm hoping that, this is another one of those games where Aaron Glenn's fingerprints are all over it. You talked about it earlier, the fact that, Anthony Richardson sometimes will have a hard time or a difficult time reading coverages. And that's where... maybe the coverage looks like Terrion Arnold is lined up man-to-man.
I like that.
Some of the best safeties
I like that.
in the league. And I believe, I saw somebody else in the chat, they think it's going to be 3 interceptions. I was believing that they can get 2 interceptions in this game against AR. But it depends on what, obviously the pressure up front. Shout out to Zadarius Smith. We get to see another game of him. And then, like I said, that's why I was focusing on those linebackers as well. What they do to be able to keep that running game in check as well as the middle of that defensive line, I believe is going to play a big role in what obviously the secondary is able to do to create some turnovers.
And that's a great point you bring up because Jordan Lionheart, he tags me. They might not have time for a deep shot. McNeil is going to eat. I believe so. They've got a tough matchup because the strength of the Colts offensive line is their guards. And Anthony Richardson, he can buy time. He can scramble and let one loose. But... if Ali McNeil can get some push up the middle, helped by DJ Reader, supplemented by Levi O, and then you've got Zadarius Smith from the outside, there may be nowhere for Anthony Richardson to scramble to.
I kind of want them to force them to be a throwing team in this game. Like I want them
it's going to happen.
Put them down early.
Who runs the ball on
this? It's just stuff the run and then dare them. Hey, you want to go and try and pick on Terrion Arnold? Because I like the way that you put your assessment of TA. He is the weakest link, not because he is a bad player, but because by the strategy and by every team that's going to line up against the Lions, the strategy every single week is going to be attack the rookie. That means that he's going to be under so much duress and pressure that even a vet, if they were under the same thing, they would have some of the same types of either penalties or mistakes. When you have that many attempts against you, I'm surprised that he has not made more mistakes. I think that he's handled it very, very well, and this is where I believe Aaron Glenn is going to really put him in a good position.
Yes, and when I made that comment, everything you said is right. It's also pro Carlton Davis, pro Kirby Joseph, pro Brian Branch, because they've all been so good. 2 of them are going to be all pros. Carlton Davis might be a Pro Bowler. But you said something as well, disguising coverages, because nobody knows more about what Alec Pierce can do than Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Nobody does. I'm not telling Aaron Glenn anything. and Aaron Glenn also knows that if the Colts want to stay in this game, they probably are going to have to hit a deep one. They're probably going to have to draw a PI. Anthony Richardson, he doesn't do a lot well playing quarterback, but he can throw that deep ball. I don't know if you guys remember.
That AR hero ball.
One of the most impressive passes of the season was that deep shot to Alec Pierce in Week 1 against Houston. But that's also what you get with Anthony Richardson is a 49% completion percentage, which is unplayably bad, and a touchdown to interception ratio of 5-7. All Anthony Richardson has is hero ball and scrambling. And I don't think, unless there actually are one-on-one matchups with Alec Pierce and Terrion Arnold that they exploit, I think they'll be able to hold AR-15 in relative check.
Ryan's Lion says, by the time AR throws to Pierce, he will be covered by Kirby or Branch. Hashtag not worried.
Yeah.
Hashtag FTC.
Absolutely.
All
right, yeah, everyone gets it. No, as they should,
Everybody
because
gets
the
it.
opponent is always the enemy. But to just go back, there's no trap game. The Colts honestly, and the fact that it's at Indy, probably a little bit too worthy of an opponent with too many good players to be a trap game.
Yeah.
What up, though, JB Smooth? Talk to me about this.
No,
Offense. The Lions defense versus the Colts offense.
I don't think this is a trap game. Honestly, like I said, this Lions team mentality, I just think they believe, and we all believe, that they can go in there and beat anyone. Like, no game will be considered a trap game anymore because of the confidence that this team has. And as our chat member said as well, too, by the time AR drops back and attempts to throw to Alex Pierce, like, someone is already going to be on him. Like, we know where the ball is going. And come on, our run-stopping defense as it is right now, you could try to get Jonathan Taylor working as much as you want, but I don't think it's going to happen for you. Like, it's going to be a rough day for everyone out there for Indy.
Yeah, Jordan Lionheart, I think TA gets his first career pick on Sunday. And
We keep calling
You've been
it.
a Terry.
I know, we keep calling this, man.
We
It's
keep
gotta
calling
happen.
it every week we're going to, but this has to be one of those ones that gives them a really good opportunity. The previous weeks, it was against some quarterbacks who we were hoping, but against Anthony Richardson, and the fact that they're going to probably take their shots, he's going to have opportunity.
Yeah, he will. And I won't guarantee a TA interception, but I can guarantee that he will be there in coverage with Alec Pierce a majority of the game. Like, you really don't see this kid get beat badly, especially when it comes to playing receivers deep. But I think you was on point, Koolaid, when you said disguising coverages. That is what the Lions do. That is what AG has been good at. If you look at some of Brian Branch's...
Hey, break it down for us.
Yeah, if you're looking at some of Brian Branch's and some of Kirby Joseph's interceptions, especially in the red zone this year, it came from, okay, they're showing blitz, or okay, they're showing zone, and then psych, I'm dropping back into man coverage and I'm covering somebody over the top. And we've seen them be able to pick off passes like that. So I think you're going to see a lot of that in this game. To Sam's point, AR5 does not read defenses very well, especially if you get to pressuring them, which I know they have an advantage at the guard spot, but their tackle spot is very vulnerable. And you have a Zadarius Smith, you have a Josh Pascal that are going to be able to get out on the edges. They're not going to be able to run the football. As good as Jonathan Taylor is, he can't run the football, especially inside on this Lions front four. So once this turns into a one-dimensional game, like it will, you can expect that Lions defensive coverage to be even more stout, and they will go out there and get some takeaways.
Man, I like the sound of that as well, man. I love it. And you know what? In the next segment, if we can just still talk about the defense a little bit more, maybe put out some expectations for that defensive lines of Darius Smith, Aleem, and such. But Chase, just your overall thoughts on Lions defense versus the Colts offense.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much you guys haven't already hit on. I mean, it's going to be, the interior of our offensive line, or their offensive line and our defensive line kind of going head to head. I think that we have plenty of playmakers in the secondary just throughout this whole defense, even with the injuries to Hutch, with Anzalone, that, I mean, we've seen him scheme up anything and everything to fill up and make up for any losses that we've had. So, I mean, defensively, I don't see how you can honestly line up with Anthony Richardson under center and feel any type of fear as a defender.
No, it's real. We got to be real about it.
That's what we ask everybody. That's why I love this crew. Because even though everything can be stated by one of us, there's still a little bit of flavor that each of you guys provide. And this is our Friday show. This is our pep rally show. This is the last show before the game. So it's like, get me fired up, man. I love the comments. Let's get to this next segment so we can give some expectation for the defense against the Colts as well.
Absolutely. And one thing that I wanted to point out before we went to break, and this is from Just a Fan, Terrion Arnold is actually questionable. I did not know that until right now. I didn't even know that he had any sort of
Didn't know that.
He was hurt at all, but we shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see. He was a
If he practices today, it's a good
he was a
chance.
limited participant yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's on track,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
I hope so.